Yes, indeed. It looks like we are indeed live, coming at you here. The Witch and the Wolf Wisdom, our first podcast.
Woohoo!
New technology, new stuff. Oh boy, yes, here it comes. My Tuesday nights have now evolved. So for everybody coming in, everybody new, I am the Old Wolf, aka Francis Capel, with here the Witch, aka Lady Shiya.
Yo!
And as always, for more information, please visit LadyShiya.com. So, Lay, first person. Yep, Lee's first person in there. How you doing?
Hello, Lee, John,
Look at
Monica.
that.
How
Yes, the responses come in. My brother John, sister Monica. It's great to see you all. So yes, again, this is the first of the Tuesday night podcast. So we'll be taking a little bit different format tonight. We'll be going over some of the elements of the things that we have been doing, who we are, what we're doing, where it's going. And Sherry's like, yes, she figured it out. Welcome.
Yay.
So, yes, again, I am the Old Wolf, and I am here with Lady Shiya here on our Hitchhiker's Guide to Music and Magic. Yay! So anyway, the track playing in the background is one of the ones that has been in the works. It's kind of a demo project called Suffer the Children. Won't be doing a video of it, but we do have a couple other ones that we will be doing tonight, as well as a couple of ones that have not seen the light of day in many years. There are many elements to what the Witch and I are up to, and yes, I always have a towel handy.
Absolutely.
Brother John, Shai told me, incredibly glad to hear that the COVID did not visit upon you. That's a horrible little scenario that I will no doubt get dragged into at some point later in the podcast. But again, in keeping it simple, a little bit about us for everybody who doesn't know, and then obviously once the podcast kind of gets archived out there for anybody coming in and just listening to it on the fly and here, there, and everywhere, we decided together to create a context not only between what Lady Shiya has been doing for many, many years, but what I had been doing many years before, and kind of creating a bit of a hybrid, I guess you could say, merging of the two elements, which is why, as you see in the graphic, the Witch and Wolf Wisdom. My magic tends to come out more in elements of music, but I also, again, do tarot, dream interpretations, workshops, which we'll be talking a little bit later. And again, obviously, the music. Good evening. Hello, Marissa and Ashley, Samantha, everybody coming in tonight. Thank you for joining us. Lady Shiya here, again, also, too, is the premier tarot reader, as I like to refer to. Everybody stop that rumbling. Yes. She does Facebook Lives every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Monday nights, she does that little dance with the dead. Would you like to...
Mediumship Monday.
Mediumship
I
Monday.
am a reluctant medium. I've always had ghosts that like to talk to me, even if I don't necessarily like to. I am not the boss, Ashley. She's the boss. I am not the boss here. But
well, technically you are. You are the manager.
I'm the manager.
You're the witch.
You're the talent.
No, I am just kind of a gnarly old wolf.
My gnarly old
I mean, a lot of people think my voice is annoying, but a lot of people have said, hey, you should do a podcast. And lo and behold, here we are.
But basically, on Monday, I do my mediumships. That's when I don't specifically do like an all call. I don't do where like, oh, are there any spirits coming through? Because then it becomes like walking into a room full of kindergartners that are hungry, and you are carrying birthday cake. you're talking about instant scream fest and instant headache. That's a big no. Thank
Cake
you.
or death?
Cake or death? In that case, death. So basically what I have people do is tell me who it is that they want to pull through and get an idea of when they passed, because I don't do it within inside a month, and then what their relationship is, because I use this thread of their relationship to find them on the other side, and then see what they have to say. Dead people don't always know everything, though, so we just got to keep that in mind.
You heard it straight from the witch herself. You also run a couple of groups, if I'm not mistaken. Why don't you tell everybody about those?
You are not mistaken. First and foremost, we have the one that's open to everybody, which is Lady Shiya and Friends. On the Lady Shiya and Friends group, those are people that I have personally, besides my own lives, people that I have personally vetted out to know that they are reputable, good, true, honest, and good people, offering what they have to offer within the spiritual community. Be it jewelry, dream catchers. We have one of our friends here tonight that from Moonbeams, that they do a lot of jewelry. Of course, I have Lady Lily, Janelle, Loest, Suzanne, Mystical Moon, Suzanne, all those that post on the group.
Ashley Hart.
Art
Creations, definitely. It's where my dream catcher came from.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful dream catchers.
Now, Bernice says that she can't get us on YouTube. She's got the page, but all I'm seeing is old posts. Is there...
I think you have to hit the live button. It should show with the live button there. So... but basically, there's that. Then there's the Witch's Corner, which is also a free group, but it is a private group, and it's for those who are wanting to grow spiritually and have a bit of a spiritual community, and lots of memes and chat and stuff like that in there. And then there is my mentorship group, which is a paid group. It's $25 a month, but we do a lot of teaching in there. We have
a lot of guides,
chat,
Reiki,
a lot of guides, Reiki teaching, Tarot, yeah, absolutely, all of the above. And we also have a Marco Polo group inside of that group where we have
shadow work.
Yeah, we do shadow work and pretty much group therapy 24/7, which right there is worth the $25 a month, in my opinion.
Which we'll be continuing to expand on different elements within the teachings and the guides, and obviously the interactions.
Yes.
One of the other things, obviously, that we both do within that are, private readings. Workshops, which again I'll be talking a little bit more later. Hello, Diana. We're chatting via everything.
Bum, bum, bum,
Yes. We have tapped into the universal channel, as they say, or at least we're attempting to, expanding on technology, building up the studio here.
Yes, also
couple counseling. Yes. Sarah's she's working on her shadow work while she listens tonight. That's actually really cool, really great.
As a matter of fact, don't you have something coming up next week that kind of touches on that a little bit?
Yeah, no. I have a trauma workshop that we will be doing, and I guess that is a good thing as any.
There you go. It says trauma.
Yes, here we go. Ta-da!
Yeah, that's the information for the trauma workshop.
Yes, the trauma workshop.
Which will be coming up next week.
Again, as in the context of the earlier workshops that I have done, it'll be Tuesday, 2:30 p.m., October 5th, and then October 7th, which is a Thursday, at 8:30 p.m. And again, it is really getting into... The workshop is going to be a Zoom workshop. Again, when you get into some of these things, especially when you're dealing with trauma triggers, it's not something that I believe personally, nor does Shiya believe that should be put out there publicly.
No,
we will
not.
archive it for anybody in attendance who wants to go back and refer to it. But there is a line that we both believe that needs to be maintained as far as separation. Especially to create, an environment, a context that people can be comfortable, and let's just be honest about it. And again, here comes some of the broadcast disclaimer stuff. The opinions expressed by us are ours, and we don't give a shit.
No, we don't.
There will be obscene language. Yes.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Don't say.
Here it is. We said it. We're already in that category. So, yep, full disclosure. All of the music, with the exception of a track that I will be playing later with one of my collaborators, are again written, composed, copyrighted by myself under Old Wolf Music. Again, all of the stuff that we put out there, please feel free to use it for personal use. But in the context of anything commercial, you will have to talk to us regarding that before you do it. And sorry, it's just the way that it works. But again, feel free to download it, link to it, share it out there, use it to meditate, use it to hide in your bathroom, get high, rub one out, do whatever you gotta do.
Dear, there it came. I wasn't gonna say it, but you said it.
Well, I mean, again, part of what we do, and again, in the simplest terms, is trying to create a self-sustaining community.
Yes.
Not only to do a lot of the stuff that we do, again, the music and a lot of the open, free type of stuff that we support and participate in, but obviously in paying the bills and doing stuff like that. So,
but it's like you say, strength in numbers.
Strength in numbers. So if you'd like more information, please visit LadyShiya.com.
Yeah, if you want to sign up for the workshop, just go to LadyShiya.com and hit workshop up at the top there in the menu, and you can sign up for the current workshop there.
Absolutely.
And Sarah, I'm glad that you love the fantastic work. You said you were doing some shadow work tonight, so hopefully you might.
Yeah,
be able to
I'll be putting up the astral projection, the meditative track again for those who've never seen it, and obviously in the context of creating an archive for this podcast going forward. Good evening, Gloria. So again, a lot of different elements that we are involved in. Again, Shiya does her lives, which had originally started on Facebook and now are expanding out into
YouTube,
the greater universe, YouTube.
Yes. We did our first YouTube one yesterday.
Yes.
Wow.
Moving on up.
Wow.
But anyway, so in keeping a bit of a framework of a context, most of the stuff here, and again that you will be hearing, is all music that I have composed, written, and or performed to different degrees. Music, again, being one of my elements of magic.
So why don't you tell us about your musical journey, dear?
Oh, well, since you asked.
Since I asked.
Since you've asked. Yeah, my musical journey started very young. My mother dragged me around to the hippie folk rock type of festival stuff as a child, where I was exposed to a lot of different elements of things, yes, drugs being one of them. But philosophy, elements of literature, different elements of, different things from different people, but music...
Can we be a little bit more vague?
Well, vague is good.
Vague can be good.
Because we don't have enough time to get into the magical mystery tour of my life. But
yeah, but it definitely was a magical mystery tour.
But I've
been
a musician, been playing music since I was a child. I played everything from classical with an orchestra. My true love is guitar in composing, but I do play piano, keyboard as well too.
Yeah.
I've been known to sing,
and bass.
Yeah. But like every other guitar player / singer, I hate the sound of my voice. So for those of you who hate the sound of my voice, I totally get it. I relate to it. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a hater. I hate myself.
I kind of get weak in the knees, so I love the sound.
Hey, listen, but again, got to be honest, and truth is true sometimes. But again, I've been playing for many years. Single parent. When my son was born, I kind of stepped back out of the music and did the dad thing for many years. And as my son got older, he took an interest, taught him how to play, and one of my bucket list elements, as they say, was being able to perform with my son, which is one of the some of the video stuff that I'm going to play here for the first time. They're just a couple of old live recordings from shows.
Yeah, but it was at an interesting venue from what I've heard.
Yes, they were at the Stone Pony in Asbury Park, New Jersey, 2016, 2017.
Now, for those who don't know, what's the history of the Stone Pony? Because that's a pretty famous venue.
Well, the Stone Pony has, again, been around for a few years in Asbury Park. I guess the notoriety came from Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
There you go.
But a lot of other bands, too many to name, have, kind of blessed the venue
Pony
over the years.
For rock music and style, I mean, they do more than just rock.
Oh,
there,
yeah. I mean, you
but
can
the
see.
Stone Pony is like New Jersey's, what we have in Texas is Billy Bob's. The world's largest honky tonk. Every country singer you could imagine has played there and put their hands on the wall.
Well, unfortunately, people can't see me looking at you with I have no fucking clue what you're talking.
Well, I mean, some of my people here are from Texas, so
yeah,
I'm
listen,
kind of
for
giving
you
them a
Texas
framework.
people, there's the analogy. For you New York people,
You've heard of the Stone
would be
Pony.
like a CBGB's, a Fillmore, L'Amour's. There are a couple of iconic, places scattered throughout the country. Also in New Jersey, you have a place up in North Jersey called Dingbats. So yeah, there are a few places. So again, I was blessed to be able to take my son out and play many shows with a band called Broken Past with a brother of mine, Tony Rodriguez. And I will be doing some shameless promotion of my brother because he is a world-renowned tattoo artist on the Central Jersey Shore in a little town.
And an amazing human being, too.
An amazing human being in a little town called Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. Brother Tony is not only an incredible tattoo artist and has probably one of the cleanest and most state-of-the-art tattoo shops on the East Coast, but
his shop is so
it's
beautiful,
incredibly
and
beautiful. Does incredible work, but he's also again a single parent. Started and has been the head of the Under My Skin for Life Foundation, which is a multi-state nonprofit organization that basically raises money for autism awareness, and as our logo goes, our slogan, helping people in time of need. Simple analogy, most of the bigger organizations can't really help in the small scale, in your town moment type of thing. So it was I guess you could, more of a grassroots organic attempt, and they've been doing it now for about 8 years. They just had a big event last weekend, the Arts for Autism.
Awesome photos from that event.
Right, lot of musicians, wrestlers, personalities.
They had a charity ride for the motorcycle.
They had a motorcycle ride, and they raised almost $6,000 for autism and stuff like that. And especially right now with the way things are out there, it's tough. People are afraid to get together in large groups. This is not to open the door on the political end of the spectrum, because we're not going to do that tonight. That'll be another night. But again, they went out of their way, as they have for years now, to give of themselves, which again,
beautiful thing.
I highly recommend to anybody and everybody out there, if you're looking for something to get connected, if you're looking for something to be a better person, if you're looking for something to help you out of a funk, or any number of analogies, volunteer.
Yes.
It could be any number of things. It could be going down to the local senior citizen center and just hanging out with the old folks. Let me tell you, they got some fucking incredible stories to share. And stuff that'll blow your mind.
And so many of them are so lonely too.
Yeah, listen, again, 1,001 analogies. There's so many groups and organizations that you can get involved with. And you can get involved with online. There are numerous different, types of support groups. You mentioned, again, through the mentorship circle with the Marco Polo group.
Yeah, vets too,
especially, vets. Yeah, we've done a lot of stuff for vets over the years. There's stuff that you can get involved with. And it doesn't matter what you do, okay? It could be about anything. It could be about animals. It could be about, saving bumblebees. It could be your local soup kitchen. The point, and again, this is one of our philosophies that those of us that know us, and those of you who care, our philosophy is, again, the strength in numbers. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Manifesting intent. When you do things for other people, especially for empaths, and you'll hear a lot of talking about empathy and empaths.
Oh, yeah.
It is, to some degrees, the best defense we have. And it really is. It speaks to our nature in wanting to help.
And as empaths,
people.
when we are able to help other people, we receive a lot of blessing ourselves. It becomes
Right.
a really nice, natural feel good that we can enjoy and know we've done something well for other people.
Absolutely. Very well said. So again, in the first of the videos tonight, I'm going to do a dip into the broken past. And this is a gig again from 2016, our first show at the Stone Pony. And we are engaging all over the place, Diana.
So we can see you, dear.
Right, we can see everybody. And again, to some degrees, this is also about the elements. This podcast will be archived and it will be streamed out. Audio only.
Yes, so
but
we're doing our best to read the comments.
I may, to some degrees, especially with some of the video aspects and the different things, we may think about archiving it video-wise.
Well, I think the archive is going to stay video-wise
on the YouTube channel. Right,
sure.
Right.
So, yeah.
But as far as some of the podcasting services and stuff, that is yet to come because, again, this is our first official podcast. Now, again, this is also, to some degrees, an organic variation on the fireside chats, which that's really what this will become to some degrees down the road.
Yeah, the fireside chats are really turning themselves into the podcast. We're more than happy to talk about topics that you're interested in. We have a framework of things that we come prepared to talk about, but as the wolf says, it's a very organic thing, so we're okay with it diverging whatever path.
Tonight kind of just lays the framework,
a little bit of
some
foundation.
of the music, a little bit, hey, who's that fucking crazy old wolf guy? So, yeah, here is, again, a live performance recording from that first Stone Pony gig with myself, Tony Rodriguez, my son, and others. So I'm going to click it over and let it play, as they say. So Here goes. So yeah, that was a little bit of my metal adventure. Lee, I'm sure you'll appreciate that, you and Derek. I have, over the years, played a lot of different varieties of music. Be it metal, be it folk, be it rock, be it classical, be it jazz and blues. But that little adventure over those few years with Broken Past was really more rock and roll metal. That was what my son was into. That's what my brother Tony was into. So the wolf went for the ride, as they say.
So the question that a lot of people ask is, do you particularly have a favorite?
No, my music kind of varies depending upon my mood. Diana's like, echo, echo, echo. Yes.
Your sound is echoing, never mind, her thing.
Yes, technology is always fun.
Yes.
To some degrees, a little bit of this is kind of like that trial by fire because, again, this is our first real podcast
And
streaming
it is
on
Mercury
here.
retrograde.
Oh, shit. Yes, she had to throw that little piece into the mix.
Right.
But again, a little history for the archives, as they say. Broken Past really started in Tony Rodriguez's garage in Atlantic Highlands a number of years ago. It really, and again, for you trivia history people, if, the current incarnation of the band ever becomes world famous, which they might.
They might.
Broken Past is still a band. It is still led by Tony Rodriguez. Anybody wants to check them out, please go to brokenpastnewjersey.com. You can also look them up on Facebook. Again, Broken Past. But it was started by my brother from another mother and godfather to my son, Chris Miller, whose birthday party we were down in New Jersey last weekend.
So
we'll
much fun.
talk a little bit about that later. But basically, he brought me over to Tony's, like, hey, you guys do music, don't you? And I hadn't really played in years, and long story short, in that garage, the band started, and my son, really kind of, wanted a taste of the rock and roll lifestyle.
Now, honey, you call it a garage, but Tony's place is far much more than, people
Yes,
think of a garage.
it's more than a
That is
garage.
a full-on studio.
It is now, but when it started,
Really?
it was a garage.
Well, it was a true garage
Oh, it was
band.
a true garage.
Well, that
Yeah.
garage has evolved into, oh my goodness, it
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
even resemble a garage
he is
anymore.
very serious about what he does. He's turned, and it's actually called WC Studios.
Okay.
It is in memory of a very dear friend of his that he used to perform and interact with over the years. A guy by the name of William Carpenter played in a band called Modern Superstar. And he passed, unfortunately, several years ago. So, kind of in memorial of that, WC Studios was kind of born.
So, Diana's asking the same thing, and I'll ask it in a different way. She asked, what kind of music do you lean towards personally? I think I will rephrase that a little bit to say, who are your influences when you're writing your music? Who are your major influences, or what influenced you on your musical journey?
My major influences, and there are a few of them, but guitar-wise, my first answer always goes to Jimi Hendrix.
I knew it.
For several reasons, but also to some degrees in my writing, Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Eric Clapton, Slow Hand,
Yep.
but also in the element of how their songs were created. If you look at Eric Clapton, Clapton, a lot of people look at, obviously his days in Cream, but, he was also incredibly powerful in Blind Faith with Steve Winwood, incredibly powerful with Derek and the Dominoes, and then obviously a lot of, the stuff that he did, not only as a solo career, but back in the day, instruments as well as musicians were interchangeable to a lot of degrees. So you had a lot of people who would sit in and work together, aka Eric Clapton, little trivia history, does the lead guitar work on the Beatles' While My Guitar Gently Weeps from the White Album.
I love that song.
As far as instruments do I lean towards in playing, Diana, guitar. guitar first and foremost, always. Everything else is kind of a branching and an experimentation and adaptation from that. But guitar, absolutely.
Now, I will be honest. This is a story I was telling you the other
Oh,
day.
Jesus.
When I first heard on your dating profile that you were a
God.
musician, I just kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever. What got my attention was the old school shaman part. But when I first heard you play, you went full on Hendrix, and we're jamming out with stuff like that, and I was like, holy crap, there's a whole nother level. So I would like for you to tell people, how long have you been playing guitar?
I've been playing guitar now for 40 plus years.
40 plus years, okay.
Since I was a kid, since I was very young.
And let me tell you,
Not to give away my age.
yeah. Well, for those of y'all who have not fully heard him play, he is a virtuoso on the guitar.
No.
Yes.
Listen,
Yes.
there are a lot of guys out there that
I'm
are better than me.
compromised,
She's
I
emotionally
admit.
compromised. Pay no
But
attention
you
to
were
her.
fucking awesome. So there, get over it.
But again, in some of these elements, and this is, again, part of the core element of my story, I've been blessed to have performed and played and interact with a lot of different musicians over the years.
You can definitely drop a few names.
And I'm not going to drop names. Well, I'm going to drop a couple.
Okay.
I'm going to drop a couple. One in particular, okay, because he is one of my oldest friends. He was best man at my wedding, some 30 odd years ago now. Mm-hmm. And in the simplest framework, he and I had started working on some music together. However, the world, again, he had just gotten married. They had a child. I had just gotten married, had a child. And those elements caused us to have to go pretty much our own paths. It wasn't that we had a falling out per se, but
you got busy with life.
But listen, life goes in
Yeah.
different directions. I moved for a job, he moved for a job, et cetera, et cetera. So we kind of, went our different ways. Cut to the here and now, we had kind of reconnected on Facebook and, been exploring each other's music. But we got together a week ago down at Chris Miller's 60th birthday party, and for the first time in, over 25 years, performed together, performed live.
He's such a nice guy.
He's an incredible guy.
And his girlfriend was amazing,
yes,
too.
she was. And the name I'm going to drop is Greg Carr-Schumann, who is going to be collaborating with me on some new tracks, in developing an album,
Yay.
concept album to many degrees. There will be other musicians, my good friend and brother, Jim Beck, who I will be previewing some of our old performance stuff.
Cool.
He was the lead singer in Broken Past in the final years that had myself and my son in it. And, we wrote a little bit of stuff, but again, we had started on some elements, and now, some years down the road, not as many, but some, now really doing the things that we had originally wanted to do. And this is kind of, that kind of, teachable moment, and I had to, learn it myself, that not everything always happens in the time frame that we want it. True. Many times the universe will have us go down a path, but those paths will inevitably many times cross again, and you will meet people back on the other side. And in many ways, it's actually really great, because now we're in a position now, both of our children respectively, are grown, doing their things. Mm-hmm. So we have a little bit of more flexibility, freedom. We have a little bit more wisdom and insight, experience,
with
obviously.
Age, wisdom is supposed to come.
But the bond is still there. Greg is an incredible guy, incredibly, beautiful human being, a great father, great musician.
I really enjoy getting to know him.
But he will be one of the people specifically that I will be collaborating with, and with that I'm going to preview one of his tracks, okay, which is a track from his Timeless Classics, Volume 1, 2019. Okay. And it is called Okay in the End. So I'm going to switch it over and let you guys enjoy that.
I just can't find the time to do the things I want. I let it slip away. I wanna sit with my guitar and pass the day on by, just thinking about my girl. But life has its problems, the ins and outs and ups and downs. And I'm only getting older, hurrying round, working hard. I gotta get up early morning and break my back from day to night. I'm okay in the end. Got my old friend. I'm okay in the end. Got my old friend. So I'm dealing with the real world, kissing ass, faking smiles, shaking hands, shelling out. This is what the real world's all about. So run, don't walk to the nearest exit. This is a trip of a lifetime. Everything I need to know, I learned in kindergarten. We're all gonna die. But me, I got a daydream. I'm a rock star, and I quit my job and buy an island in the tropics. Another day, living in paradise, yeah. I'm okay in the end. Got my old friend. I'm okay in the end. Got my old friend.
So again, that was my brother Greg Carr Schumann from his Timeless Classics Volume 1. Incredible songwriter, in my opinion. Got a little bit of that darker edge from the elements of experience, which again, I have always found. Well, again, music is literature and art tend to reflect different elements in our life. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are about love, some of them are about, tragedy. Again, some of the greatest elements that have ever been created are about tragedy. Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
Layla, Derek and the Dominoes, Eric Clapton, we were talking about earlier. These are incredibly reflective of deep traumas and pains. And speaking of traumas, yes, the trauma workshop promo. It is time, as they say. Ta-da! There it is.
So yes, the empath in you, new workshop, navigating your trauma triggers. Definitely helping you figure out how to deal with triggers as they happen. The wolf will be sharing his wisdom on
Some deep shadow work type stuff. Kind of the next level expansion off of earlier workshop that I've done. You know, for those of you who have been engaging and participating in them, this was one of the elements that was mentioned the most in what people really seem, you know, to need. And you know, that's an element, you know, I think, and as great a subject as any in reflection of what we do and why we do it. The whole concept of strength in numbers, you know what I mean? It is about being able not only to understand the elements of the things that fuck us up, aka our triggers, but in how they obviously carry over in the people around us.
very much so.
You know what I mean? Because, you know, unfortunately, like most things in life, there is the context of collateral damage. And many times, and I think most people can relate to this in life, that it isn't necessarily that you did something wrong or you had bad intent. You just happened to be in the wrong fucking place at the wrong fucking time with the wrong fucking person. And elements of that, aka real life, you know what I mean? There really isn't, you know, there isn't a handbook. I mean, again, you...
And they carry over for years and years to come.
Oh, and they can. They create elements that branch, you know, again, that will turn into other...
And one of our learning experiences
beautiful elements
together has been learning how not to hit each other's triggers as
Ah,
best we can.
yes.
You know, turning each other into a
But
neurotic wolf or a neurotic witch.
I think you like pushing my triggers.
I think you do the same,
I
too.
think the kid in you really kind of gets off on it.
Pot, meet the
Well,
kettle.
listen, you'll meet again.
Pot, meet kettle. Yeah.
I am what I am. So,
Diana blasts her triggers with a laser beam.
yes, listen where
That's
you
a
can.
great analogy.
But sometimes we don't get the luxury of that because some of these triggers, again, are defensive in nature. They are elements that we have adapted around for protection.
Yes. So,
Yes, I love the cartoon analogies. The cartoon analogies are always great. You know, it's like Wile E. Coyote standing over, you know, the open abyss after running over the cliff with the sign. Yikes!
for those who can't see her comment, Diana mentioned a method of healing is letting one's imagination run wild and try to envision like how a cartoon would illustrate triggers coming at you and how you would deal with them. She envisions taking out her laser gun and blasting them. You know what? Visualization is a very powerful
fucking
manifestation
great
tool.
analogy. Great
Very
analogy.
powerful manifestation.
Because it is that very core concept of manifestation. And there are many different ways. There are different elements. That's one in that framework, again, kind of, you know, using elements. Like a lot of times I use, and I know a lot of people use, will literally use soundtracks. That music will cue up in your head. And again, it's the same analogy. It's the imagination. It's the power of our minds where we're going to focus ourselves, especially when we're talking in the context of a negative trigger.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, your options are limited. So it's kind of basically like, hey, you know, get flushed down a shitty toilet, or hey, do we figure out a way not to end up in the shitty toilet?
We try not to end up in the shitty toilet, but
Yeah, the
sometimes
shitty toilet's no fun.
life is a shit sandwich, and we just have to deal with it. We have to find a way to trudge through it, find a way to, we can't avoid necessarily getting triggered. So if you're getting triggered, now what do you do? How do you deal with it? How do you get to the other side? And I think that's part of what you're going to be addressing, yes?
As Brother Levon says, take what you need, leave the rest behind. So, yeah, there is that.
So I hope you guys join us. You can go to ladyshiya.com, click on workshop at the top, and get signed up for the trauma workshop that will be happening next Tuesday at 2:30 and next Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, and this will be a Zoom workshop, and it will be limited in capacity.
Yes.
Again, I will continue to do more of them as people desire them, as there is a need, as they say. But also in the same instance as we talked about earlier, it's simply not effective, it's not fair, it's not honest to try and do these things on a large scale basis.
Right.
I know some of these people out there will be like, hey, let's get 10,000 people together in an arena and we're going to work through all your issues together.
You know, that creates a great emotional high, but it doesn't
But
translate into
it's an illusion.
a permanent context.
Right.
It doesn't
It's
translate into
smoke and
something
mirrors.
that you can take home with you, live with, sleep with, eat with, and deal with.
To some degrees, some of us do have the ability and have been taught and understand to be able to pull those elements in a large scale setting. But unfortunately, in my experience has taught me, and I've experienced it personally as well too, as well as being a parent. Not everybody processes information the same way. Not everybody learns the same way. And especially when you're dealing with elements that are deep, that are personal, that are traumatic and ugly and embarrassing and humiliating, it isn't that simple as, again, let's get everybody together and just, pull our shitty pants down and spread our ass cheeks and be like, hey, here it is.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
no, definitely the
not
intimacy of a smaller group allows for you to make it more real, more personal, more tangible, I think.
And also, too, in many elements for comfortability, and I say this all the time in all of the elements that I do in regards to any type of counseling or teachings or workshops, that level of comfortability is so key. Because without it, you can't make the connection. It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree, if you understand, if you don't understand. If you don't have a base framework to begin with, it is very difficult for anything else to get through. Now, with that being said, half the battle is just being able to, again, as they say, show up. And that in itself is, as they say, it's effort, it's motive. It creates context now.
Now, that's something you mentioned, a key word that I kind of want to dive into a little bit. You said counseling. You have spent many, many years counseling a lot of people in a lot of different situations, a lot of different contexts.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you do offer counseling sessions to people. So would you like to talk about that for a little bit? Or would you please talk about that for a little bit?
I mean, again,
drag it out
you can go to ladyshiya.com and you can, take a look at all the different types of things that we do. But yeah, to some degrees now, at this point in my life, having, danced the corporate dance, having danced the single father parenthood, having danced the shitty, disastrous relationship ending in death, having danced the toxic male pseudo wannabe father figure,
recovery and being a sponsor,
having danced through some of that, having danced through the many myriads, and listen, and again, this is not to say that I've got all of the answers. I got a few. I try to the best that I can to be humble in the element that, hey, take what you need, leave the rest behind. I am not the final word on things. This is my opinion. This is how I see it. These are the things I've experienced it. I try and say it in love. I try and say it in truth. One of my core philosophies, again, words have no meaning without the actions behind them. And if you look at the framework, the context of language, spells, spellcraft,
spelling,
they're derived from that word. So by its very nature, by its very definition, corresponds to language, how we communicate, the intent. You can take the word fuck, and this is one of our favorite little rants.
Here
and again,
it's
a perfect thing to put into the first, podcast for future reference. Fuck can be used in so many different ways. It has many different meanings and can carry much in the way of the energy, aka the manifestation that we want to put into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, you're driving down the road and all of a sudden, you know what I mean? There's a spaceship flying over,
because that happens every
grabbing cows from the local field. And as you're driving by, you kind of look in your rearview mirror and you're like, fuck. Now, in this particular case, fuck is implied of a bewildered, confused, amazed, surprised, what the fuck? No pun intended.
Fuck?
Now, in the same analogy, you're, working out back, you're building that shed that you've been thinking about for many years, so you have a place to keep your your cool lawn tools or whatever else you want to hide in there. Maybe
bodies.
Maybe
did I say that out loud?
maybe your wife doesn't know that you like to wear her clothes, and you got to have a place to do that. I'm not implying that to anybody, and
I'm
it's totally cool that if you're into
Dexter place to
but yes, you're
bodies, yes.
building the shed, and bang, there's your thumb.
Ow.
But it's not the nail. So, but
Yep.
that implies pain.
That is, yes, very, very good.
Now again,
Variable word.
those are just two of the myriad of examples and analogies.
What?
And again, well, listen, like again, we joke, and here's the kind of 6 degrees of separation, little segue off the beaten path. But we talked earlier about your Monday night lives. That's where you do your mediumship and stuff.
Yes.
I don't dance with the dead personally because it's just, too much for me personally.
Oh, no.
But there are a few that I kind of keep within the framework of my memory warehouse, and one of them is George Carlin. And George Carlin, for anybody who doesn't know, was a incredible comedian, incredible philosopher in many ways, and just an all-around...
Not politically correct,
but
awesome
I
dude.
think really had the pulse on a lot of things.
Truly.
And he tended to speak in ways that some would consider offensive. And in the spirit of George Carlin, fuck it. It is what it is.
Yep.
But I will pull those elements in many aspects in how I interact, because one of my defensive tools is that comedy, that dark humor. Nobody
humor.
expects the Spanish Inquisition.
So, I mean, one of the things that I've noticed, I want to go back to the counseling because you kind of segued off of that pretty quickly, is one of the things I've noticed when you're doing your counseling sessions is what I find very unique is you carry on almost a natural conversation to where there's a truly caring element, and somehow through the course of an hour, half an hour to an hour, you get down right to the very ass root of something rather than trying to pussyfoot around the top of it. And that's one of the things I really love. And I think if people, engage with you on a counseling level, that they're going to find themselves facing exactly what needs to be seen in fairly short order.
Well, the funny thing about it is I've been doing this type of stuff kind of outside the scope of this since I was a kid. And, again, what I like to refer to as high-functioning empaths, some of us have the ability to connect and understand and read people. And in that aspect, when you can read people, you can work within, again, like I mentioned, their comfortability zone, rather than trying to force somebody into, you know what I mean? It's like that Dr. Roberts, hello there, Buffy, take this pill and let me analyze your brain. Yeah, that's bullshit. More times than not, it's smoke and mirrors. They're indirect, kind of, hey, let's get you into the pharmaceutical game, and that way you too can spend the rest of your life as a functioning drug addict. And I know this for a fact because, No,
of course, we don't medication shame. There is a time and place
there is
for
no medication shaming, but
it shouldn't be the first go-to. It should be something that is either a last effort or in conjunction with actual cognitive behavioral change, in my opinion.
Again, it is a slippery slope. I am not a licensed medical professional. I have, however, practical experience having danced not only through elements of recovery, but, and again, in, full
Life.
disclosure, well, my son's mother went that route, went to the doctors, and they just continue to, play the pharmaceutical cocktail merry-go-round with her until she became so shot out that it ultimately killed her. Now, again, in fairness, some of it were elements of her traumas and her past and her coping mechanisms and things that just, unfortunately did not work together. But with that being said, I still had to deal with not only the elements of how it carried over me, but also how it carried over, with our son.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, theoretical knowledge, reading into a book, it can help to certain degrees, but practical experience trumps it, no pun intended, as far as I'm concerned, any day of the week.
Well, let's look into a counseling question. Gloria says she thinks she's doing this right, but she wants another opinion. She suffered a childhood trauma and forgave the person. She'll never forget what happened to her, and her coping mechanism has always been to totally keep that person out of her life. But some of her family members just act like it never happened. Which one is right? Let's hear not Dr. Wolf, but the old
listen, I
Wolf's
mean, again,
thoughts and
if we're going to have, as I like to say, the honest
The honest
conversation,
conversation.
my philosophy, my opinion, always is to the degree that if your coping mechanism is to keep that person out of your life, then it is correct. This is, again, where I believe that things go sideways. Just because somebody has an opinion, a perspective, doesn't necessarily mean it's right, because the variable that gets dismissed more times than not, in my experience, is how people feel. We get told, we are conditioned, oh, you shouldn't feel this way.
Bullshit.
Oh, what you're being emotional.
Bullshit.
You're being crazy.
Bullshit.
You know what I mean? And these are real elements to people in the moment. It doesn't matter in that moment what anybody fucking thinks.
No.
Because it is real to the person experiencing. And then
Your feelings are valid for
Right.
you, and that is enough.
Well, those feelings are a response. It is cause and effect. So
Yes.
whatever's triggering it is doing so for a reason. And unfortunately, people get, first thing, that rubber stamp comes out, oh, you're fucking crazy. You know what I mean? That's the default reaction.
Medicated.
Medicated. Or people get dismissed. You're emotional. Shut the fuck up.
You're being neurotic.
You're being crazy.
You're being
Yeah.
crazy. You're being
But
yeah.
here is the other element in understanding it. We are conditioned within our cultures, within our societies, within the frameworks of religion and societal structures, to act that way, to think that way, and to respond that way. So there is a lot of this, and as my brother Chris Miller, great to see you out there. He and I have for many years had to dance this dance from a variety of different angles. It isn't that simple. It never is.
It never is.
And you have to look at each situation. Each person is unique in those elements.
If
Yes.
it's working for you, it's not causing harm for you, it's not causing harm for anybody else, then and fuck it. If somebody else has an opinion, that's great. That's their opinion. But do what
You
take
have
what
to
you
do
need,
what
leave the rest
right.
behind.
You have to do what works in the individual, but also within the framework of strength in numbers.
Yes.
We cannot just take our own, because we'll justify the shit out of anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We'll just be
empaths are
like,
great
hey,
at that shit.
it's like, again, it's Wile E. Coyote making a fucking Acme Destructo machine that always backfires and blows up in his fucking face.
Yeah.
So that really is the best analogy, going back to the cartoon ones that Diana shared earlier. We need other people's perspective. We need other people's strength. We need other people's wisdom. So we have to the different degrees. And again, why I'm doing the elements that I'm doing now is to not only expand upon that, but also for myself in being able to feel better about what I do and how I do it. I spent a number of years, as my brother Chris did, working for the man and, feeding the fucking machine, and it's not a good way of life. We do what we have to, don't get me wrong. I don't begrudge anybody. I have more respect for, for garbage men than I do for, a lot of these card-carrying
corporate
types.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It takes all types to make the world go round, but we have to be considerate and caring and look out for each other, not just look out for the almighty dollar in the bottom line.
And again, there's a case to be made to some degrees, but when your profession is to basically sit in an office somewhere and rip off old people and find different ways to fuck them out of their pensions,
not okay.
I got a problem with you.
Mm-hmm. Now let's take
that is just me.
Let's take this full circle, because we're talking about, healing and counseling and elements of forgiveness, and I want to bring this around full circle again to the healing elements of music. Sherry was mentioning earlier that she had a particular artist that she consistently listened to help her while she was doing her shadow work, and it took her a while before she could even listen to that artist again to be able to work through it.
Absolutely.
But different types of music create different emotions. Music has been a context throughout history, drums being like the first major instrument.
Well, it's part of the ritual. Absolutely. Again, that is a framework for the different energies that make up magic. And again, I talk about this all the time, but again, in the framework, for those of you who've never heard it and maybe just would like to understand it, magic in its simplest terms is the manipulation of energy. Mm-hmm. It is an energy that is not as widely understood. It is not something that is tangible in the aspect that you can go down and pick it off a tree or dig it up. There are different elements like crystals and minerals that will respond to energy.
Yes.
That are tools, focuses within magic. But magic is about, again, energy, and energy has many different forms. You got electrical energy, you have solar energy, you have magnetic energy, you have radiation. All of these energies are invisible to us. We don't see them.
Emotional energy.
And they affect us in different ways. Now, again, 200 years ago, all those elements that I mentioned 7 seconds ago were considered magic. Because at that time, our understanding of energy was so limited that it's fucking witchcraft. It's voodoo.
I'm surprised they didn't burn Franklin at the stake for sending
right.
up a kite.
Or, Tesla, or But listen, history is ripe, and I talk a lot about this. If you look at what happened to different people like Galileo and Plato and people throughout, history
Socrates,
who...
Here, have some hemlock.
Right, who stepped outside the box, it doesn't end well for them.
No.
I mean, even, again, if you want to take a religious element, and if you want to jump into that dogma, if you look at the element of Christianity in the New Testament, Jesus showed up bringing, peace, love. Hey, I'm the Son of God. Let's make things better. And they're like,
kill him.
Fuck you.
Let's kill
up on
him.
The cross you go.
Crucify him.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, again, it's kind of hard to really piece the elements together. And again, I'm not going to begrudge anybody their spirituality, their beliefs. Again, I use the simple analogy. If the actions back up the words, then you're good. But if your actions don't jive with it, and again, I'll use the analogy.
If you're going to talk the talk, you better damn walk the
walk.
Right.
You can't throw Christianity out there if you're going to run around screaming about, kill the gay people and, let's string up some black folk, or, Asians are, the source of COVID. Because guess what? Jesus didn't hate.
No.
He hung out with lepers and whores. He threw the moneylenders out of the temple. Go back, read your scriptures, learn the elements of your dogmatic religion before you come out there and your actions define you as something else.
I love the great Gandhi quote, I like your Christ, I do not like your Christians.
Well, again, there's a case to be made.
Quote.
My own personal family history, I come from a long line of, the onward Christian soldier, my father's family,
literally,
straight on down the line, firstborn son, Order of St. John, Knights of Malta. Here, embrace the white Jesus. Needless to say, my mother taught me better. That didn't work out too well
May the gods
for
bless
me.
your
But
mom.
I was raised within that very strict Roman Catholic dogmatic element of, fear and terror as a child. You're going to hell.
Thank the gods you escaped all of that.
Oh, listen, I remember having to struggle the first time on a Friday that my mother actually, and my mother, this is a great story. My mother, to combat it, took us to McDonald's on a fucking Friday.
Let's have a McDonald's.
Because she was like, fuck that. You're going to eat meat, you know what I mean,
meat
on
on a
Friday.
Friday.
It was just stupid. It was ridiculous. So, as a child, it was like McDonald's.
For those that don't know, the Catholics have this thing of not eating meat on Friday.
Right.
I've never understood it, honestly. It makes no sense
Again,
to
I'm
me.
not going to get into the dogmatic elements, but again, I remember the dilemma in my mind about, am I going to go to hell? Am I going to, am I
you're
going to
having
burn?
a-
My mother's trying to get me to eat a cheeseburger. I'm not supposed to do this. And again, it didn't take long to kind of connect the dots with,
You're not
I
going to
always
hell
use like
for having
the, well,
cheeseburgers on a Friday.
I always use the Father Flanagan analogy.
Oh, God.
I have a cast of characters that live in my head, so periodically I let them out. And Father Flanagan,
Oh, no.
and the running joke is, well, how many Hail Marys does it take to absolve you of being a child molester? And that's always a roll of the dice. And that is the analogy that, you go to church on Sunday, throw some money in the basket, 13 Hail Marys, an act of contrition, and then Monday morning, Father Flanagan's fucking the little boys in, the back room. But, Jesus and God forgives everybody. See, me, I'm a bit more fucked up. You can forgive to certain degrees, but you surely cannot forget.
No.
And I'm sorry, but,
I fully believe in setting boundaries.
once Father Flanagan crosses that line, fuck you. You don't get to be around kids anymore. I'm sorry. I'm a
No.
parent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with anybody defining who they are, how they want to define them. But when you start crossing particular lines, guess what? The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one.
So, but yeah, Monica, you mentioned things, holding something in for a year that someone did to you, that you were having an issue. Ultimately, yeah, the honesty in a relationship is an excellent thing. Sometimes we can't talk about something, and as long as you talk about it when you can, then that's great. And eventually, hopefully, you guys will be able to talk it through and walk it through. That it's not a lack of trust. It's just you dealing with what you had to deal with before you were able to come out with it and talk about it.
And here is the shitty reality, unfortunately. We are all unique. We are all individuals. Some things we have to work through, we have to learn, we have to experience for ourselves. It
Yes.
doesn't mean we don't love our partners. It doesn't mean we don't care. But if we're going to, again, be honest, okay, especially when we're dealing with traumatic elements, okay, they only really apply and really only have their framework of reference to the individual in question. AKA, I hate to say it, but certain elements of things, especially hardline traumatic, elements. Bernice brings an element in regards to sex, and it's a great segue. Rape. Okay, in that particular context, and this is one of the lines. Like, I don't do rape counseling for women.
I do.
You do.
Yeah, because I've lived it. Me too.
Well, not only just that, I believe, and again, this is my opinion, my philosophy, not only do I not have a framework, again, of that element, but as a man, I cannot, by definition, relate to certain elements, again, that are unique and specific to women. It's not about being sexist. It's not about being anything more than honest about how these elements apply. So my advice and my philosophy always is in this framework that in these situations, women need to work together with other women. Just like there's certain elements of trauma for men that women cannot, by default, unfortunately,
We can't
relate to.
We can't understand it.
And they have to be worked with through other men.
Now, Monica, I will say, for you to be able to come out a year afterwards, great. I didn't talk about it for 2 years. So, hey, been there, done that, walked that. Because there is that shame culture that I was raised before it's my fault and that sort of thing. And yeah, so men do react differently because their hackles get up.
Well,
and they
that's
want to go kill the
beautiful
rapist.
that you segue into that, because this is one of the elements that I talk about a lot. It does rile the feathers on some folks, but here again, I am going to just be me and be obscene and throw it out there.
Why the hell not?
The toxic male cultural element is real.
Yes,
it has been
is.
conditioned through hundreds, if not thousands of years, generations, framed within cultural elements, some of them obviously framed within geographic elements, within religion, and so forth. And Brother Chris Miller says it very well. I have to accept the things that I cannot change.
Yep.
Yeah, incredible wisdom. But we can change certain things. We can recognize the elements of patterns that are passed down from generation to generation. The simplest analogy, okay, and I say this again as a parent, children are sponges. They will absorb, they will soak in the elements that they are exposed to when they are young. And that creates your baseline framework for that early development. So as men, we are taught to react in particular ways, to respond in particular ways. Within the framework of my household, my father and my father's father, women were objects, they were constructs, they were possessions to be owned. Up until not that long ago, and within my lifetime, within especially the Italian-American elements of it, it was not only acceptable, but it was almost required that if your wife did not act accordingly, if she didn't speak accordingly, that you had to set her right. And by setting her right, that means you had to put your hands on her, and if you had to beat a little bit of ass there to get your dinner served on time, well, yeah, that's okay, because that's how God framed it. And this shit was driven behind religious.
It wasn't that long ago that women couldn't own their own bank accounts.
No, they couldn't vote. Right.
Vote. We had the voting rights in our lifetime.
But it's, again, in the framework of history.
Yeah. But I mean, you were just talking about not that long ago in our life. You couldn't have a bank account without your husband signing off on it.
Mortgage, you had to have that element too. Yeah.
There's still things to this day that, women can't get a hysterectomy without their husband's permission.
Well, I mean, we're going through this insane dance around the whole abortion thing.
Yep.
So again, for the record, the old wolf, a.k.a. Francis Capel, yes, I am putting my name to this, okay?
Wow.
It's bullshit. It's smoke and mirrors. It's fucked up, okay? It's been going on for too long. Men need to call other men out on it. We need to teach our sons. We need to back the women up around us. They should not be dancing this and fighting this by themselves, because guess what? These things have been set in place by our fathers and our fathers' fathers and our fathers' fathers' fathers. And at some point, we have to draw the line and break the cycle. So, at some point, we have to decide, and I decided as a father, that do I want to pass this on to my son? I'd rather deal with it now. I'd rather be like, you know what? Fuck it. I will be that guy that will go out there and say, yeah, you know what?
And I have to say, coming into you with your adult son and to this tribe and to this family here, I can say beyond a shadow of any doubt that you have raised your son in such a way that he does not carry that burden from your past of that toxic masculinity. You don't just talk this talk. You have walked this walk, and your son is living, walking, breathing proof of
in many degrees, yes, but it's a process. And my brother Chris Miller will also testify to this, being a single parent and raising boys as well too. It is fucking tough, because everything in our world, in our society, in our cultures around them, try to reinforce it, try to tell them, hey, you're not supposed to have emotions. Don't fucking show weakness. No, you know what I mean? Be a fuckboy, you know what I mean? all these things are driven, and they're driven through music, they're driven through media, they're driven through all types of different elements. But it begins and ends with us, again, as parents. But
we've digressed.
Yes.
Going back to
just music. A little bit. So we're gonna take a couple. Well, we're gonna actually go back a little bit to the comedy because I see one of my friends here, and I wanted to make sure
we're gonna
that this went on to the first podcast.
Okay.
Yes. And the discussion is going to be about artificial vanilla. Okay.
Oh,
as a testament, as again a shout out to Suzanne Williams.
And actually, Monica Maples sent us a link apparently.
Yes. I think Monica was one who put it earlier, but since I see Suzanne's out here now, it's her time in the sun. Well, listen, she deserves credit because she set the framework for this.
Yes.
Okay. And I wanna kind of shift it away from the men are assholes and all the shitty things that we've done for 2,000 years and get it back to something a little bit more upbeat.
Okay, we like upbeat.
But here's the framework of the story. So the artificial vanilla came into play in a conversation in our live, and artificial vanilla, unbeknownst to me at that time. Okay, and this is one of those things, once you know a thing, you can never fucking... No. But artificial vanilla comes from the anal gland of the beaver.
Oh, God, here we go.
So, this segued...
Beaver butt goo.
Right, beaver butt goo. I mean, 1,001 analogies. But this all segued into a kind of interactive discussion about this whole framework. Now, the real comedy comes in when you start kind of going backwards. Somebody somewhere, at some point in time. And now you can cue up, because we want to have a soundtrack to this. Okay? And we'll just wait for the woman to do her technical thing. Because it has to have atmosphere. Okay, so here we go. Somebody somewhere was out and about in the woods one day. For whatever reason, no one will probably ever know. But at some point, he found himself along a stream. So he followed that stream. And in that breeze, a scent carried over to he or she. I guess we really shouldn't define. I don't want to assume anybody's gender.
I really don't think a woman would be...
We digress from the story.
Okay.
So, he's out, he's exploring, he's following the river. He's got this scent in the air. That smells good. He follows it. And there, building across the river, was a solitary beaver. Minding his own business, he or she. Again, we don't want to assume genders here.
Building a dam.
So this person somehow correlated, found their way to the beaver. And the beaver so graciously exposed he or she's asshole. And the beaver said, "Come, breathe deeply of my anal gland so you may know the joys of vanilla." And this person not only partook of this experience, which by definition in most states and countries is a violation of law and at some point probably a violation of nature in general. But anyway, made that discovery. And then it gets better.
To licking the asshole.
It gets better. Okay? It smelled so good that, hey, something this good, if it smells this good, I wonder what it tastes like.
Oh, God.
Insert tongue in beaver ass. Wow. That tastes like vanilla. So said person runs back with said knowledge. And on that day, beavers realized that maybe, just maybe, okay, their asses were quite literally in jeopardy.
Oh no.
Now, again, that obviously built upon itself, and somebody decided that, hey, we can create a supply line, like, again, I have visions of like these
No,
these
we don't need
fucked
these
up,
visions.
warehouses that PETA's always exposing with like thousands of beavers strapped in, ass cheeks spread with, these machines just
sucking the beaver butt goo.
sucking the ass juice out of them, and then putting them into little McCormick artificial vanilla vials and sending them to your Wegmans and Walmarts and Stop and Shops and Aldi's
And thus
across
the birth
the country.
Of artificial
So,
vanilla
yes,
flavoring
artificial vanilla flavoring
occurred.
comes from the anal gland of beavers. It's a real thing. Once you know it, you can't unknow it. Me personally, I'll never fucking use artificial. Listen,
no.
the world we live in scares the shit of me as it is. You know what I mean? You look at some of the things that go on around us, and it's just really like, what the fuck? What the
beaver
fuck?
butt goo. Who wants to
But-
have artificial beaver butt goo?
Again, in fairness, and two elements here. All credit goes to Suzanne Williams. She is
She is the one
by
who
default. No,
introduced
listen. This whole
knowledge to
whole
us.
skit
She
really.
has corrupted the wolf.
Honey, I was corrupted long. Chris Miller will tell you that we were corrupted long before any of y'all showed up. I
wolf
appreciate
is
it though.
corrupting the
I mean,
witch, though.
you have definitely added a new layer. And you know me, I'm an ogre. I got many layers here. Yes, but she deserves credit where credit's due. Now, Suzanne is also again, and again, got to kind of balance this out. Is a member of the membership circle.
Yes. The mentorship
Very
circle,
active.
absolutely.
Not only within the elements of her magic and her gifts, but also in that practical element that I like to refer to is, being involved, engaged
Yep.
with the people around her. And let me tell you, and then again, I'm not going to get into all the nitty-gritty details. My girl Suzanne has seen some shit. Okay, that's not a woman to fuck with. Let me tell you. Okay,
No, indeed.
I kid you
You
not.
don't fuck with us witches. We'll
Well,
put you in a doll.
My girl has seen. She's seen some shit in her day. Okay,
I wonder if she's
and
seen
she
bigger
don't
shit.
suffer no fools. She do not.
No.
So yes, much love and respect, Suzanne. Thank you for everything you do. And again, I hope I embarrassed the shit out of you. And if I haven't, I will continue to find new and better ways. I have lots of podcasts to come, hon.
Oh shit! What?
Yes, and Brother
Suzanne?
Miller's like, yeah, corrupted for like 30 years.
I
Yeah.
think you've been corrupted longer than that.
Jesus Christ, the shit that he and I have seen and gone through over the years is just insane. And they will be the subject. Chris will be one of my guests in
Excellent.
upcoming episodes where we will discuss and be getting into
Oh, I need some stories, Chris.
some of
I
that.
Need some stories.
some of that. Yeah, there's some fucking stories.
I
You know what I
need
mean?
some
But listen,
stories.
this is where, again, experience, strength, and hope.
Mhm.
We talk about it in the framework of recovery, but recovery applies to many different elements. It's not just about recovering if you were an alcoholic or if you were a drug addict. Recovery really reflects the elements of us healing from whatever the fuck has happened in our lives, whatever has gone on, wherever we're trying to get to, whoever we are trying to be, and hopefully, again, the baseline concept is that we're trying to be better people
Yes.
for ourselves, if nothing else. I mean, it's
Well,
great
we
if it
hope
helps
it's
other people, but
well,
you know,
we
again,
empaths, we're great at helping others, but we're shitty at helping ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes we need to frame it to help others be better ourselves.
yes.
Sometimes that's how we need to frame it.
But again, take what you need and leave the rest behind.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there were a couple other things that we were kind of going to do, but I'm not sure that I'm going to do it. And yes, it looks like my mouse is locked up.
Uh-oh.
Da, 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 da. Oh, there we
There
go.
it goes. It went to sleep.
Yes, that was weird.
Mhm.
Technology. Yes, some of the statutes of limitations still apply.
Oh, God.
Yes,
That was a
yes,
comment from Chris
yes,
Miller, for those
yes,
who don't see it.
yes.
Yep.
Listen,
indeed.
we had a blast down there last weekend. Again,
Yes.
some of you know, a few of you did come out.
Chris
And
Miller's officially an old fart. He's 60
yeah,
years old.
60 years old, but
60 years young, because God knows he's still a kid.
still a child in many ways, just like me.
Like me too.
No, listen, I talk about this a lot. I think the biggest mistake we all make as we get older is that we forget what it was like to be young. We lose the connection with the magic and the energy. And granted, yeah, to some degrees our bodies are going to do what they're going to do. You can't change that as much.
No.
But we can compensate. We can adapt. And we
I think he's compensating for something.
Well, it is what it is.
We can keep our youthful attitude, our youthful heart. We don't have to be
Right.
old curmudgeons.
But again, we
Get off my lawn!
There's many elements of things that we can take advantage of, that we can embrace, it, we can share.
Yes.
And again, in the simplest analogy, a gathering of people down in central New Jersey with food and friends and family and a little bit of live music. I got to connect with the guy, what I mean, that I hadn't done music with in almost fucking 30 years. And now he is somebody that is going to be an active participant within the new elements of the music that I'm doing now, which for me is incredibly powerful.
Exciting.
And incredibly inspiring.
I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.
Oh, we gonna do some shit.
I can tell. So,
Yeah, no, don't worry. We'll make sure you get shot, Suzanne. We won't let that happen. You know what I mean?
Suzanne
But
says
it's
that
gonna
she
be
hates
hard.
getting old. If for some reason she changes, she wants people to just shoot her.
Well, but here's the
there you
thing.
go.
I'm not really sure she's ever. Well, I mean, she's gonna stay because she's not gonna let go of her precious that easily.
No,
So
that's probably true.
she's
likes her
she's
people
clutching
back.
that ring tightly.
There you go.
You know what I mean? She knows that the fellowship is looking for her and the ring.
You're gonna throw her in a volcano.
No, I don't want to throw her in the volcano. I just want her to give up the ring.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't
One ring.
understand.
Okay.
She thinks it protects her, but it doesn't.
Well, Gloria brings up one of my favorite quotes where, yeah, old enough to know better, yet too young to care. There you go.
There are many of said types of things. Oh, wow. Restream just let me know. Congratulations. You received 100 messages to Good God, technology. All right, so I'm gonna do a little thing. Okay. And it is a live performance again of one of the songs that me and my son Tony Rodriguez, Jim Beck, Chris Salazar had written together in Broken Past. It is a live recording. It is the only recording. It's a bootleg for all intents and purposes, but it is a song that we wrote. It's called Dead to Me. So I had promised I was going to put that out there. So I'm going to put that up, let you folks enjoy it, and then we'll be back.
This is dead to me. Everyone's life tells a story. Some great, some not so great. Some will understand, while others have no clue. Respect you while the others fall away. You called yourself my brother. Said you'd be there till the end. Now it's plain for all to see. You're done and dead to me. There's a lot of people talking from both sides of the face. Hands in my pockets, always looking for a taste. When you look in the mirror, do you see a disgrace? Called yourself my Thank you.
So yeah, that was a little bit of Broken Past from back in the day. My brother Chris Miller, he was actually there at that show. Again, one of the big highlights for me of being able to perform on stage with my son. I have one other actual video from that show. Unfortunately, I do not have a video from that particular performance. I just have the audio of it, but again, it is nice to have those little bit of memories. And again, in the framework, a lot of people are like, hey, you know, what type of stuff have you played? Yes, I've done metal, I've done folk, I've done Grateful Dead, I've done blues, I've done jazz. Yeah, I've done it all.
Yep.
But in the framework of the Broken Past days, and again, Broken Past is still a band. They are a very good metal band. If you are into metal, you can check them out on Facebook at Broken Past, or you can check them out at www.brokenpastnewjersey.com. And again, that band is basically is a Tony Rodriguez production. My brother, who owns Under My Skin tattoo shop in the Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey.
Super talented tattoo artist.
Incredibly gifted
world-renowned.
tattoo artist, world renowned. One of the most state-of-the-art, clean shops that you will find
Not just
around.
clean, but it has really cool decorations. I love the skull wall.
Well, it has atmosphere.
It's got great atmosphere.
Tony has been doing tattoos.
You understated.
Within the Asbury Park
This is one of the coolest
scene.
tattoo shops I have ever seen in my damn life. I mean, you know, you see the one that you know, some of the famous tattoo artists and stuff like that have had like their TV shows and stuff like that.
Right.
I would easily say that Tony's place could be one of those TV shows with the aesthetic.
Well, he might have actually been. But again, these are things and hopefully I can get him on here to talk about those things himself.
There you go.
So yes, for future podcasts, going to get my brother Tony hopefully on here in between life as a single father, running a tattoo shop, recording an album with his band. Yeah,
Under My
he's a
Skin
busy guy.
Foundation, too.
And running the Under My Skin for Life
Yes.
Foundation. Yes, he is a busy man, but he is my brother and I love him dearly. So yeah, you know, that again was a track, you know, that we had written in that studio that you visited when we were down there in New Jersey. It was the second of the original tracks. The first one I played here earlier was literally entitled Broken Past. The last one that I'll play in a little bit is actually video of a cover song that we did at the show. Of a track called Man in the Box by a band called Alice in Chains. I own no rights or anything to the song, but as such, as a cover band, we did a cover tribute variation of the song.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's somebody else special on that stage with you in that video, yes?
No.
No? Okay.
Nope.
I thought there was.
No, that's just me, Jim Beck, Tony Rodriguez, my son.
That's what I mean by the somebody
Yes,
special.
yes, my son.
Yes,
your
son is in that video.
Oh, well,
the monkey.
The monkey is
You
in
know
the video.
what?
Oh, okay, well.
I don't. The famous people, that's great. I like famous people and stuff like that. But I care about the people in my family that I know. And to me, the monkey is more special than any of those other famous people. So there you go.
You're just saying that because you know he's listening and
No,
or will be
I
listening,
don't
and
know
you're
if he is
buttering
listening.
him up for our
No.
Sunday D&D sessions. Is what you're
it's
doing.
not that. It's that he
No,
cooks my food.
I'm calling you
He
out.
cooks my food mostly.
Well,
I mean, you
that
make, he
too,
makes all
but
the food, but
yeah,
he cooks my food. He's the house
You're
chef.
kissing some monkey ass. Now listen,
I don't kiss
as we
monkey
discovered
ass
earlier
for
with the
good food.
Suzanne story, you know,
Well,
this is what
your
happens.
butthole can be tasty.
Yeah, but monkey
and-
ass isn't going to end up the same way.
No.
I'm telling you. I know
don't
this.
want-
I don't
want
need
the
to
monkey ass, I want the
experiment with
monkey
it.
food.
My instincts tell me this is not something. Don't touch that monkey.
So, no, I'm not touching the
Don't
monkey.
touch the monkey.
I just want the monkey to make me food.
Yeah, well. But anyway, yeah, so that was definitely, you know, again, getting to go out and perform my son, again, not to be redundant, was, you know, an incredible, you know, experience. Don't get me wrong,
He's an incredible player.
It had some interesting side effects. Well, you know, again, you know, the story that I tell people, you know, is that in many degrees, most of what we think goes on, some of it is real, But a lot of it is illusion. A lot of it is,
The
again,
mystique.
the twisting of it. Some of it is fucked up, and some of it is beyond fucked up. So we got to experience some of the not as pretty elements, and he also got to experience, on the flip side, as an empath, what it's like to perform in a room filled with hundreds of drunken, drugged up,
What is it like as
endorphin,
an empath to
hormonal
perform?
driven energy.
What is it like an empath to perform? Tell people how you perform, first of all.
Well, anybody who looks at the pictures of me performing and stuff like that will notice the trend, and those of the people that know me know I tend to perform with my eyes closed, because that's one of my basic defense mechanisms of blocking people out. Because when I'm performing, yeah, I don't need, 485 different radios on fucked up channels at fucked up volumes, all competing
For your
to be
Yes.
heard. No, I don't want to go with you to Pacific Playlands. No. So that's one of my defensive tools. Yes, it can be very overwhelming. It was definitely one of the variable factors in us stopping when we decided to leave the band. Some of it also was logistical and taking, a promotion with the company that I was with at the time, and just needing a change of scenery, a change of environment.
And the universe saying, hey, you have a witch that you need
Well,
to meet in a couple
yeah,
of
I
years
mean,
up
all
in
roads
Rochester.
led here to
Yeah.
Rochester, New York.
Rochester.
And yes, we found each other
Yes.
in that
amazingly
process.
enough.
Yes, and it is a beautiful thing.
Most times.
Can't say that. No,
I'm
it's a beautiful
teasing,
thing.
I'm
Listen,
teasing.
there's
It
no
is
such
a
thing as
beautiful thing.
perfect. But,
Except for
as
me.
Deadpool would say,
Except for me.
you're crazy,
My
business.
crazy matches your crazy.
Yeah, so it works out nicely.
Yes, it does.
I'm quite content in it.
I'm very happy.
And yes, eyes closed, as
Eyes
Suzanne
closed,
says.
yes.
Yes. But yeah, that is, again, an element, and some of the stories, and I'll talk more about them in detail as we go through the podcast, like, the first time the monkey got ambushed by a couple of drunken,
I've heard this story.
middle-aged housewives who were out slumming
Yeah. I
at
didn't
one
even
of
call
our
them
shows.
housewives, I
Oh, it
would
was
call them
absolutely
cougars.
fucking hysterical. I mean, they just fucking zoned in on him, and they're like, oh, fresh meat.
Oh, dear.
And that poor kid,
That
man.
poor monkey.
Poor kid was like a fucking deer caught in the
Run
headlock.
away,
He didn't know
run
what.
away.
And then
Brave
and they
Sir
did.
Robin,
Listen,
he bravely ran away.
they came in and literally just from two different angles just got up around him and just kind of like
Oh,
enclosed him in
poor
and just
kid.
were slobbering and just like, oh, this is so beautiful. Man, I never saw somebody want to jump out of their own fucking skin. Now, here's the fucked up part. As a father, there was a bit of a, you could say, conflict.
Okay.
Because the father in me instantly wanted to save him.
Right.
But the asshole in me was like, this little motherfucker needs to learn a bit of a lesson here.
Oh, shit.
What better teaching situation than real life?
There you go. Oh, my
Yeah,
gosh.
me and Chris Miller and Tony and a couple others, we sat back and observed
Yeah, but he handled
and
it.
watched. Well, his solution, as they say, and it really was a Kobayashi Maru moment. His solution, as they say, was unique. It was acrobatic. He just pulled a kind of, hey, look over there. And literally, like a
Ducked out.
slinky, just dropped to the ground and kind of by the sheer force of the force, kind of shot himself under one of the metal gate barriers and kind of like dipped into the fucking shadows before they even realized he was gone.
This is not the monkey
But
you're looking for.
there was easily a good 10 to 15 minutes worth of uncomfortable interaction. You know what I mean? With him really desperately not wanting to be an asshole, not wanting to be offensive, but really just not
Right, needing to
wanting to be in.
Run away!
the moment.
Run away!
But yes, and that there were a couple of interesting moments along the way. We
Well-
did a Thanksgiving show for Reading MC. And for anybody that knows anything about motorcycle and motorcycle clubs, you know, Reading MC is a pretty big motorcycle club in Reading, PA and stuff. So it was really, I was very honored. We were very honored, you know, to be asked to come out and play, you know, their big, you know, Thanksgiving show out there. So we made the trek out there the night before Thanksgiving, and you know, we did this show and stuff. But it, you know, again, the night before Thanksgiving, and you know, people are, as they say, celebrating, you know, putting one on. Again, I don't begrudge people, you know, how they want to enjoy themselves, as long as it doesn't, and it didn't get ridiculous or anything.
That's good.
It was very respectful. But all the interesting characters within the framework of that environment was something that the kid had never really experienced before. You know, again, his godfather is, you know, biker guy. You know what I mean? Great guy. And, you know, bikers are always, you know, again, real easy to stereotype. You know, everybody's like, oh, Sons of Anarchy.
Some of the most real people I know are bikers.
It not. There are those that are that way,
Yeah.
but just like everybody and everything else, yeah, that's not everybody within the scope. But
No.
he got to see some of those interesting little elements, and it definitely kind of, you know, opened his eyes to, oh, so it isn't everything that I thought it was.
It's
You know,
not always
that
like
4
one
o'clock
way
in the
out.
morning, you know, lugging the equipment home from a show after some fucking drunk wannabe dude fucking took a
But
piss
what
on
did
your
you guys
guitar
always do
cabinet.
after a show? You told me you
Oh,
guys always picked up something after a show.
in central New Jersey, we would always go to Wawa after a show. And anybody who's been, you know, on the eastern seaboard, there's central New Jersey, PA and stuff. Wawas were just, you know, they got the fucking best coffee.
They
You
really
could go in there at any time of day or night. You could get you can get a decent sandwich made. You could get something hot. You could get some chocolate milk, some fresh donuts, fucking coffee.
I'll tell you what, I didn't realize just how cool Wawas were until I got to visit one recently.
Yes,
I thought,
and
oh,
I'm not even getting
this
paid for
Wawa
plugging fucking
coffee.
Wawa.
I know.
All right,
I just
so
thought this Wawa coffee is just Wawa coffee, and then I tried the Wawa coffee, and I'm like, okay, now I understand. I get it.
yeah, well, I mean, again, you know, like anything, it's a question of taste. But yeah, I mean,
John thinks his
yeah,
cup has
Wawa,
better
Wawa coffee is definitely one of the better coffees, in my opinion.
Yeah, send
You
me
know what I mean?
some, Jonathan, and I'll try it
Now,
out.
you know, again, if you ask my mother would be like, she likes Italian coffees because that's, you know, that's her
She's
taste.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm Italian too, but
Yeah.
some of that shit's way too, you know what I mean? It's just like, you might as well stick a fucking hypodermic needle of speed into my ass.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah, no,
I'm okay.
no,
You know me.
because
I
the
like-
crash and burn is just
I know.
fucking
I love
horrible.
the coffee that slaps you awake, man.
Yeah.
Truck stop coffee, as long as it's
I
got
gotta
good flavor.
gotta do that in limited doses. All right, so
Let's see
I'm
this
gonna
video,
I'm
yes.
gonna jump to this last kind of blast from the past, of broken past with the
See
boys.
if you guys can identify the monkey in the photo.
Well, it's not hard because he's next to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so here it is. One last run. Again, this is a cover tune of another band's song. Okay, so for whatever that's worth. So yeah, that was a little bit of broken past from back in the day at the Stone Pony. Again, not to be redundant, but one of the things I wanted to make sure in this was that there was a framework going back to the elements of not only the things that I've done, but in the framework for my son. At some point, hopefully down the road, he will be a parent, and then he can go back to this, and they'll actually be a testament. There'll be an archive, as they say, that this actually happened. That that
Once
that
upon a
fucking
time,
crusty
your
old
dad was cool.
right. You can be like that fucked up old man, that guy you call grandpa and shit. Well, yeah, back in the day, you know what I mean. And my framework is, and this is a running joke, for those that know me, Keith Richards is still fucking out there doing shit. Okay. I am by no means done. I don't want to be done, and I intend to keep going. Yes, my hair is still fucking long.
Yeah, I love it.
So what? You know what I mean? That's just my thing.
If you ever
But
cut it, I'll cry.
it's an expression, and a lot of people are like, well, why do you do that? Well, because it's my expression. This is my element. And for many years, I did. I cut my hair. I did the corporate dance. I did all the things that the world says, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. And again, I don't begrudge it. I did them for the right reasons. Again, I try and live.
Yeah.
You do the things for the right reasons, and I would rather be wrong for the right reasons in that element. Everything is part of the journey, point A to point B and back again, so forth and so forth. But in this life, in this chapter of my book, this is where I am most comfortable. This is truly who I am, and I am blessed in the context to have a sexy witch to kind of walk this particular path with, and and
Fine,
again,
now I'm going to start going on how your long
no.
Yeah.
Stop that grumbling.
Stop that grumbling.
Yes, no. Not really good with the whole framework of I'm just an old broken down wolf, and
You're my
my magic is what it is. But again, try not to let it get too far into the ego, because ego is fucking dangerous. It's good. Self-esteem is important
We should have a podcast about that at some point.
for everybody else, just not for me.
Yes.
Because remember,
No, it's important.
I'm an
for you.
empath, great at helping everybody
others.
else, but I don't follow
Suck
my
it.
own shit. Fuck that.
Follow your own damn advice, man.
No,
That was
no,
the hardest
no.
thing I ever had to do in my life, was learn how to follow my own fucking advice.
Yes. Isn't that always beautiful?
sucks.
Isn't that marvelous?
Isn't
So
it
yes,
marvelous?
next Tuesday, that would be October 5th. Save the dates. 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Thursday, October 7th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, we'll be doing the next in the series of the Empath in You workshops, navigating trauma triggers.
It is a Zoom workshop. There are limited seats available, so be sure to get signed up with the current workshop at ladyshiya.com. Click workshops in the main menu, and you can purchase your seat at the current workshop. It'll get you a seat at one or both of the Zoom workshops. You'll get both of the links so that you can attend one or both, whatever's most convenient for you.
And they will be archived for attendees only. This will
Yes.
not be publicly
No.
available. It will not be streamed within the podcast or the public YouTube channel. Again, all of the musical elements that we do release will be on the YouTube channel. So again, visit ladyshiya.com to go to our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe, and feel free to use those music tracks, be they the Reiki track, be they the astral projection or goblin dance, or any number of the tracks that we have been putting out, and we will be continuing to put out more.
Yes.
But they're there for you to use. Again, the only thing that we ask, respectfully and humbly, is not to use it in a commercial context. If you need or want to use it in a commercial context, please feel free to reach out to us and we can discuss it. But for the obvious elements of the world we live in, and legalities and et cetera, it's just not as simple when you do things in a commercial context.
Please like and subscribe. If you are on YouTube, hit that little bell for subscribing. If you're on Facebook, there's also now Facebook has its own little bell, and you can choose, because Nick is saying, I was never notified you went live. Well, make sure you click that little bell, and you will have an option to be notified every time our page goes live. We will be doing this wonderful, fun, informative, crazy-ass podcast.
We'll be going on every
night.
Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
There will be variations within it, again, but this will be more focused into, more discussion,
Yes.
music, comedy.
And just generally having a good time. And creating, our interactions, the good vibe tribe.
The good
so to
vibe
speak.
tribe, right.
So,
Now, you will be live, though, on
Yes.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday
8
nights.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time on both
Correct.
Facebook and YouTube.
Yes. Thanks,
So-
Nick. Yeah, hopefully that will help. Again, technology is... she's a nasty one.
Well, it is Mercury retrograde, and that reminds me, do show up tomorrow night for live readings. It is What the Fuck Wednesday.
Oh, my God.
And we will be doing a special spread that I started yesterday for Mercury retrograde, which is your Mercury retrograde survival guide reading. So show up for that.
It will be fun.
It will be.
Oh, I know that.
It'll definitely be fun. So,
Yeah, Facebook is not always the best in those elements, which is, also to some degree why we've been expanding on the technology. For anybody who's
Yes.
tech-oriented and interested, we are running OBS, which is really great for production elements. We're also running that behind Restream.
which actually I'm really liking.
She's really liking it.
I'm
Very,
really
very
liking
good.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't notified about the retrograde. Wonder why? Last 2 days I was in a funk. Yeah, that'll do it sometimes. Listen, energy is real.
Retrograde.
Magic is real, okay? It's just in the context of how we understand it, how we perceive it. Just like radiation will fuck you up, elemental energies, okay, will,
Absolutely.
in no uncertain terms, have cause and effect. Okay, and just like anything else, if you're going down to the beach in the middle of the fucking summer, you put sunscreen on. There are ways and things that we can and should do, in my humble opinion,
Yep.
to protect ourselves,
If
to
somebody
better
throws a-
defend.
Yeah, if somebody throws a baseball at your head, you don't close your eyes. You keep your eyes open and figure out what the
Whack.
fuck to do about that baseball that is approaching your head at a fastball speed. So, yeah, no, we're not using StreamYard. We're using OBS and Restream, which seems to be a really great combination.
Yeah,
thus
it's a
far.
comfortable
I am
combination
happy
right now.
So far.
Um,
So, it just Nick says it just shows even as he is a psychic medium and energy worker, he still needs to learn more. You know what? Every
Amen to
day
that,
we learn
right.
more. The day we don't learn something is well a day not well spent.
Well, also, too, it is the double-edged sword. When we become complacent, when we become arrogant, when we become, kind of victims of our own conditioning, our own bullshit, we lose that honest connection. We lose humility.
Yes.
Which, again, if we're going to have the honest conversation, is very critical. You talk about it a lot, and this comes up almost on a regular basis. A lot of people out there who are engaged in the craft, as we will refer to it, they're bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to point fingers and pull names out, but if somebody says to you, for only $1,500, I
will rid you of your curses.
I can remove this curse from you.
Let
It's
me
bullshit.
take all the curses off of you.
It's bullshit.
Give you your deepest love. I will bring your soulmate. No.
Listen, everybody has to make a living. Full disclosure, we do what we do. We love and welcome the support, but it is not required.
Right.
Okay? The music we put out, we do for free. A lot of the elements of the Reiki and the teachings and stuff are put out there for free. Yes, the mentorship circle is a paid group, but again,
We
on
got to keep the lights on.
pennies,
Yes.
on
What-
for less than what it costs you for a
value.
cup of coffee. You know what I mean? So again, These are aspects that we've created a framework, and again, within the element of strength in numbers, also too, that there are many elements that are tied into it. You have Ashley Hart and Hart's Creation. Okay.
Many of these people we will have on future podcasts and
Yes.
have a chance to talk about. So
And many others, like Suzanne from Mystical Moons.
yes, absolutely. Lady Lily Lotus.
With her, and
Yes,
let me tell you, she did an
and-
incredible job with that workshop on crystals.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. So guys, don't miss out on the next workshop, The Empath in You, working through your trauma triggers, navigating your trauma triggers. Hopefully we will see you soon. We're coming up on our 2 hours, so we will bid you a fond good night.
Very soon.
Very soon? Okay.
One thing I wanted to do, because again, in fairness to some of the elements that we've been doing, I want to do one final video to close it out, and it's the latest release of the tracks. It was a collaboration between myself and Jonathan Porter. This is also one of the elements that we do, and you can learn more by going to ladyshiya.com. But John and I did a collaboration on a track, okay? And it is kind of like one of those double-sided elements. In the one element, it has the reflective quality of experience of, you know, some of the traumas and the things, you know, not only that he has gone through, but a lot of us have gone through in different variations, but they have the similarities. But on the flip side of it was the element of rebirth, the element that the things that we go through allow us to become stronger, allow us to become better people. And in that analogy, the name of the track is Time of the Phoenix, okay? An obvious analogy of the phoenix in that fiery death and rebirth cycle. This track is reflective of it. So we're going to close out tonight with that track. Again, want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight. Again, feel free, please, go to ladyshiya.com, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe and like, and feel free to share the music elements to whatever degree. Use them as you see fit again. And Shiya will be she'll be back on
Live
tomorrow night, 8 p.m.
p.m.
Eastern Standard Time
on both Facebook and
for
YouTube.
What the Fuck Wednesday. But again, with that, we're going to close out the show with Time of the Phoenix.
Excellent.
Turn back the time, then I wouldn't change any line. Wonder how the time flies fast. When I say now, it's almost past. Days go by, years go by, life goes by, you got no time to rest. I wonder how the time flies fast. Book of my life is written in stone. I never regretted all the things that I've done. 'Cause the book of my life is written in stone. I never regretted all the things that I've done. 'Cause the book of my life is written in stone. I never regretted all the things that I've done. Wonder how the time flies fast. When I say now, it's almost past. Days go by, years go by, life goes by, you got no time to rest. I wonder how the time flies fast. Days go by, years go by, life goes by, you got no time to rest. I wonder how the time flies fast. Things that I've done, the 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 things that I've done. Days go by, years go by, life goes by. The time's not ripe to die. Days go by, years go by, life goes by. The time's not right.